What's up, Tailgaters? My name is Tailgate Nate. Welcome back to my channel. We're going to continue with our 2021 team preview and prediction series. And today, we're going to be talking about the USC Trojans. Pac-12 season was shortened last year, so can USC take advantage of a full season this year and get into the college football playoff for the first time? You're going to have to find out my thoughts later. Be sure to leave a like on this video. It helps me out with the YouTube algorithm, gets the video out to as many people as possible. You can also leave a comment down below telling me your thoughts on this video. And hey, if you'd like, please hit that subscribe button. We're so close to 150 subscribers. So if you could hit that, that would mean a lot to me. Also ring the bell because I'm uploading a lot this summer. You want to know when I upload. Share the video with everyone you know as well. I'm going to remind you, keep it PG in the comment section. And with that, let's go ahead and talk about USC. So a team this year that, well, we know is going to have a fantastic offense. And I've talked about it before. USC, this team is going to be built on their offense. This team should be a good team, but that's also what we've been saying about USC for the past couple years. And, well, they've disappointed. Last year, I don't know if it was necessarily a disappointment until the end of the season. They were 5-0 in the regular season, had one game canceled because of COVID concerns, and then lost in the Pac-12 championship game to an Oregon team that they probably should have beat, although Oregon looked really good in that game. So kind of a letdown for USC last year, went undefeated in the regular season, could not win the Pac-12 title. They're going to look to get back to the Pac-12 title game this year, but the road this year is not as easy as the road last year. Losing quite a bit of talent, especially on the offensive end as well. And a couple running backs highlight the list. Marquise Stepp and Stephen Carr. Both of those guys entered the transfer portal. Marquise Stepp going to Nebraska and Stephen Carr going to Indiana. A couple wide receivers as well. Amon-Ra St. Brown and Tyler Vaughns are both gone. I believe one, if not both of them, went to the NFL. You guys can correct me on that. But those guys were fantastic pass catchers, and Kedon Slovis is going to miss them, along with an offensive lineman that was absolutely fantastic last year, and a first-round draft pick, Elijah Vera Tucker. He is gone. That's a huge loss for USC on the offensive line. Other than that, the offensive line looks pretty intact this year. I don't worry about USC's offensive line this year. Lots of guys on defense gone as well, a couple off the defensive line, one off linebacker, and a couple off the defensive backing as well. But the defensive losses are not as big as those offensive losses, in my opinion, at least, although defensive losses should be an impact to USC this year, because really, before we get into the players that they have, this season is going to be determined by USC's defense. We know what their offense can do, and we know how good their offense is. It's going to be if their defense can take that next step. And if their defense can take that next step, look for this USC team to be really good. If that defense cannot take the next step, this USC team is probably going to be back where they have been in previous years. But as the saying goes, it's not about what you lost. It is about what you have. And I mentioned his name a little bit ago. They have a Heisman candidate quarterback in Kedon Slovis. He is really good. Obviously, right? As a freshman, he was sensational. As a sophomore last year, he was pretty good as well. Given the restriction on the number of games that USC played last year, Kedon Slovis should be fantastic again in 2021. Make no mistake about that. Potential first-round draft pick as well. Fiance Ingram is a transfer over from Texas. So he's going to be bringing his talents over to Southern California. And I think Fiance Ingram should fit in great, along with Vavae Malapai, who returns as a USC Trojan this year. Fiance Ingram, in my mind, should be that number one, but there might be like a 1A, 1B situation at USC. One of the best wide receivers in the nation returns for USC, and that's Drake London. Drake London, in my opinion, gets overlooked a little bit. I even overlooked him a little bit while compiling some of the best wide receivers. You'll see that list a little later this summer. But Drake London, I think, is an absolutely fantastic player. And I can't wait to see how him and Kedon Slovis can connect this year, as well as they have a pretty good tight end, Aaron Kromenhoek. Now, he's not a top tight end in the nation or anything, but he still is a solid player out there at tight end. And the defense, in my estimate, should be better this year, but that is the question, if their defense can take that next step. Corey Foreman highlights the defensive line, as well as Drake Jackson. Drake Jackson is a fantastic defender. He can play D-line or linebacker, really highlights that front seven. Another linebacker, Kanai Mauga, there as well. Sorry if I pronounce any of these names wrong. Chris Steele and Isaiah Polamau in the defensive backing group as well. So some really nice defensive pieces for the USC Trojans. All right, and here's the first look at their schedule. They went 5-1 in 2020. Of course, 5-1 in the Pac-12. They were Pac-12 runner-ups to the Oregon Ducks, and they opted out of playing in bowl games. I believe we're the highest ranked team to do so. Hey, you guys know how this works. I'm going to talk about some games more than others. They're just more interesting matchups to me. If the date gets highlighted in green, it's a win. If it gets highlighted in red, it's a loss. Let's go ahead and talk about USC's 2021 schedule. And they open up with a team that I think a lot of people are going to overlook this year, much like they did last year. But, I mean, for good reason, people overlooked them last year. San Jose State wasn't supposed to do anything special last year, yet they went 7-1. Their only loss being the Ball State in the bowl game. Now, San Jose State should be a pretty good team this year as well. I don't expect that to change a whole lot. Maybe that was just a one-off year like we see so many times with these group of 5 teams. But as far as my standards go, this San Jose State team should be really good. This should be a pretty good team. Now, comparatively speaking, with the talent they have compared to USC, it's nothing special. USC definitely has the more talented players, and I do expect USC to get the win here in this one, but don't be surprised if this game turns out to be pretty close, especially towards the end of the game. This could end up being a one-possession game down the stretch. I could see it, especially if USC's defense is not ready to play right out of the gate. Saying that it is, this should be a cakewalk for USC, but things could get interesting in week 1 for the Trojans. Now you have the Stanford Cardinal at home. And Stanford can also be a sneaky team this year. I know they just lost Davis Mills to the NFL draft, but Stanford is still a team that you'll want to watch out for. This is not a team that you want to overlook. And I think it's a team that maybe could pull off an upset this year. I don't see it happening here. If Stanford's going to pull off an upset, it's going to be on their own turf. I don't see them beating USC. I'm going to give USC the win in that one. Then a road game against Washington, and Washington is still in that rebuild mode. They still will have Max Borghi back at running back, which is a huge boost for them. But I don't know how much that's going to help them out in the long run. I think USC is also going to get a pretty easy win here against Washington State. So for their first road win of the year. Then they're going to get to play Oregon State at home. Oregon State's a team that's always been trending kind of up. And this year, they might kind of flatline to where they were last year. They pulled off an upset against Oregon last year, but that was on their home turf. This game is on the road for Oregon State, so a home game for USC. I don't see this one being particularly close. Maybe Oregon State, Tristan Gebbia can make it interesting for a quarter. I don't see this one being much closer than 15 points. I think USC is going to be able to beat Oregon State pretty easily here. Colorado. We knew Colorado was losing quite a bit this year, but now their quarterback, Sam Neuer, has entered the transfer portal, I believe as of a week, a little bit over a week ago, somewhere around there, but Sam Neuer is gone, entered the transfer portal. We do know that Colorado has some of the best running backs in the nation, or I shouldn't say some of the best. I should say some of the most underrated running backs in the nation. Although I'll talk about underrated running backs with another team that's on this list here in a little bit. Jerick Broussard is coming back for Colorado. That should be a huge boost back for the Buffaloes. But other than that, I don't see the Buffaloes doing anything special this year. Definitely in that rebuilding mode. I'm still trying to move on from Mel Tucker, in my opinion, although Mel Tucker was never a proven head coach. Anyway, Colorado's a hard team to figure out this year. They were pretty solid last year, but with Sam Neuer leaving, I don't know. That's probably going to affect Colorado pretty negatively, in my opinion. So USC should be able to get the win there. Start off the season 5-0, and now the tricky games start. They get a game against Utah. Utah's a team that has given USC some struggles in the past, especially in the Coliseum. And when Utah's good, they're good. They're bringing in a quarterback from Baylor. His name is Charlie Brewer. You guys might remember him from 2019 explosion season that he had. And if he can have anything kind of a season like that at Utah this year, man, Utah is going to be a team that you got to watch out for. Utah has top 25 potential, and this could end up being a dogfight. And it definitely could come down to whichever defense plays well, because Utah has one of the best tight ends in the nation. His name is Brant Kuithe. I'll talk about him more when I do my Utah preview, which I am planning on doing. That won't come till way later, though. But as far as Utah goes, again, this could be a dogfight. To me, Utah's got the better pieces on defense right now, but USC's got the better offense. I think USC is going to be more explosive in this game, and I do have the Trojans squeaking out a win here against the Utah Utes. Then they get their bye week. Perfect place for a bye week because it comes before what could be their hardest game of the season against the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. If you guys watched my Notre Dame video earlier this week, you guys already know where I'm going with this pick. So I'll flash it up on screen and I'll explain why. I do have Notre Dame winning this game. This game really does come down to the defense to me. And overall, I feel like Notre Dame maybe not necessarily has some more questions answered, but has an overall more complete team, if that makes sense. USC has some nice pieces on both sides of the ball. We've established that. But coming together as a whole, their offense should be great. Their offense should be fantastic. How does the defense play? And I think this is a place where USC is going to slip up and trip. I have them losing to the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, but I have them rebound against Arizona. In my opinion, the worst team in the Pac-12. Arizona, I don't think is going to do anything this year. I don't even know if Arizona's going to make a bowl game. Probably not. I would bet on them not. USC should win that game. But then another tricky road game. They got to go on the road to play Arizona State. Now, Arizona State has lost their top target for 2 years in a row. First, it was Brandon Ayuk. Now this year, Frank Darby went to the NFL. But they have some really good running backs back there. They still have some nice pieces out there at wide receiver, and they have a possibly sneaky Heisman candidate quarterback coming back in Jayden Daniels. I think Jayden Daniels is going to do fantastic this year, and Arizona State and Herm Edwards has proven they can pull off a big upset before. They did it to Oregon in 2019, and heck, they swept a home-and-home series with Michigan State when Michigan State was still a top 25 caliber team. So this Arizona State team knows how to pull off these big wins, and they know how to do it right. And I think they do it again here. I think Arizona State beats USC in this game. Again, it comes down, how does the defense play? Arizona State's got some of the best defensive linemen in the entire nation. Merlin Robinson comes to mind. There are a couple other names that come to mind as well. That defensive front seven for Arizona State should be scary. I think USC is going to be able to exploit that secondary a little bit, but overall, I just feel like Arizona State has that magic in them to do it again. So upset here, in my opinion. Then a road game against Cal. Cal's a team that's always going to fight you. Cal's a team that's always going to come out, play their hardest, and Cal's usually a team that's going to put up a fight. But I don't think Cal has quite the talent to do that this year. I see USC being able to easily rebound with this one and win. Now here's another tricky game. The in-state rival, UCLA, University of California, Los Angeles for the University of Southern California. Ooh, this should be a fun one, especially considering that UCLA should be a lot better this year. And this is where the most underrated groups of running backs come from. I mean, just absolutely fantastic running backs. You got lots of guys coming back. You also have Zach Charbonnet coming over from Michigan as a transfer. That's going to be a huge boost. Dorian Thompson-Robinson is coming back at quarterback. He's a great runner himself. Weapons back at wide receiver. This UCLA team is going to be dangerous. It's the same story, though, with USC. Can UCLA's defense also take that next step? We saw signs of improvement last year, but can UCLA's defense play as a cohesive unit? Much like USC. By this point, I feel like USC, sorry, acronyms, guys. At this point, I feel like USC is going to get into the home stretch. They're not going to want to lose another game. They're probably already out of playoff conversation with the record and schedule that I'm predicting. I think they edge out a win here against UCLA. I think it's close. I definitely think it's a close game, but I think USC sticks it out. And BYU, their last game up. Now BYU losing a lot of talent this year. Of course, Zach Wilson leaving. Lots of other guys leaving as well, offensively, defensively. They have some nice weapons coming back, but I just don't think it's going to be enough to compete with USC. I think BYU is still going to be a solid team this year, and this could be close for a quarter, maybe even a half. But I see USC pulling away from that game. And with that, you see two games highlighted in red, which means I have the USC Trojans going 10-2 in 2021. I see them going 11-1 as the best case scenario. Hey, I see them dropping a game somewhere, and it's more than likely going to be on the road to either Notre Dame or Arizona State. Worst case scenario, I have is 9-3 with those two losses. And I mean, this USC team to me is going to be a top 25 team all year round. I don't see them going worse than 9-3. I just don't. They have all of their tricky games at home, that being Utah, UCLA, maybe even San Jose State. They do have a road game that could trip them up in Colorado, but more likely than not, this USC team is going to go 10-2 this season. It's just a nice middle ground here with Notre Dame and Arizona State being those most likely losses. I could maybe even see USC going 8-4 if the defense really can't step it up and USC disappoints again. But I'm happy with my 10-2 prediction. That's going to do it for talking about USC. Leave a like on this video. Subscribe if you are brand new to the channel or you enjoy my content. Again, we're so close to 150. I want to hit that before the end of the summer. Definitely ring the bell as well. You can leave a comment down below. Just keep it PG in the comment section. Share your thoughts. Give me some other teams you want me to look at. Have a good weekend, guys. And when we come back on Monday, we're going to be talking about the Indiana Hoosiers. So get excited for that. Indiana's up next. Remember to play hard, but tailgate harder. See all you guys next week. Goodbye.